What is the difference between weasels and stoats? The mustelid family is a highly successful group of animals renowned for intelligence, tenacity, and remarkable survival skills. Having been around for millions of years, it's no coincidence that they continue to thrive in a world where many other mammal groups are under serious threat. Today we'll be paying special attention to two members of this ancient family, weasels and stoats. What's the story with them? What similarities do they share? And crucially, how are they different? Weasels. Let's start by looking at weasels. In the strictest taxonomic terms, a weasel is a mustelid from the Mustela genus. For those unfamiliar with the term, a mustelid is any animal classified under the Mustelidae family including badgers, otter, martens, and wolverines. The Mustela genus is also home to European minks, stoats, and ferrets, which adds to the confusion surrounding what a weasel really is. In fact, many casual folks simply refer to any of these smaller, hyperactive carnivores as weasels. However, in reality, about 10 of the 16 Mustela species still walking the earth have weasel in their common names. Examples include the least weasel, Mustela nalis, the Siberian weasel, Mustela siberica, the Malayan weasel, Mustela nudipes, and the missing toothed pygmy weasel, Mustela donevalis. That said, you can technically use weasel to refer to any mustela animal, including stoats and ferrets. The word mustela is derived from Latin with mus, translating to mouse and telm, meaning javelin in reference to the weasel's long bodies. These javelin mice are quite variable in size, with the least weasel being the smallest member of both the Mustela genus and the carnivora order. Male weasels are usually slightly longer and heavier than females of the same species. However, besides size, there are very few physical differences between males and females. When it comes to native distribution, weasels are mostly found in the Northern Hemisphere, Europe, Asia, North America, and parts of North Africa. South America is the only Southern Hemisphere region with native populations. Of course, thanks to humans, weasels can be found all over the globe either as pets or wild animals. They've been kept as exotic pets for centuries, and their popularity is higher now than ever before. Unfortunately, this human-aided migration to certain places has led to weasels becoming harmful invasive species in ecosystems completely unprepared for such a predator. The introduction of weasels has threatened populations of various rodents and birds in places like Australia and New Zealand, with some species now even beyond rescue. Weasels are highly efficient and versatile predators. The bulk of their diet is made up of small rodents like mice and moths. Weasels' slender cylindrical bodies are perfect for infiltrating these rodents' burrows and crevices without the risk of getting stuck. In the wild, weasels will also go after frogs, lizards, snakes, birds, eggs, and carrion. These feisty hunters are also known for pursuing and killing prey several times their size, like rabbits and chickens. This tendency to pursue poultry and rabbits is why some farmers regard weasels as pests that require their own exterminators. Of course, given their fairly small sizes, weasels are rarely apex predators, if ever. This means they need to stay on the lookout for bigger, meaner predators. Coyotes, wolves, foxes, cats big and small, birds of prey, and larger moosids like wolverines all prey on weasels, making it a perilous world for these little guys. Another major challenge for weasels, especially in the Northern Hemisphere, is the long, brutal winter period. Temperatures drop to the negatives and food gets extremely scarce, making survival even harder. Luckily, weasels have a few tricks up their sleeves. One such trick is the winter coat. As winter approaches, some weasels shed their primary coat and grow a fluffier white winter coat. Not only does the coat provide extra protection from the harsh elements, but the white coloring provides winter camouflage that helps with both predation and avoiding predators. Their normal brown and rusty coats would stand out tremendously against a snowy background. Weasels live in a wide range of habitats, including open grasslands, open woodlands, rockeries, tropical forests, or even your local park or backyard. They make use of underground burrows, tree hollows, caves, and even bird-like nests, Many species are solitary and territorial. Males have larger territories to maximize the odds of overlapping with as many female territories as possible. Territorial boundaries are established using scent secretions from anal and skin glands, as well as urine and fecal matter. As a general rule, male weasel territory size is determined by access to females, while female weasel territories depend on the availability of food resources for themselves and potential offspring. Of course, like with any successful group of animals, reproduction is an essential part of being a weasel. The least weasel, for instance, breeds between April and the end of July. After mating, males and females go their separate ways, with the females facing 34 to 37-day gestation windows. Baby weasels, which are known as kits, are born blind, deaf, hairless, and helpless. However, development is quite rapid. By day 4, kits have pale, downy fur, and by day 10, the fur starts showing the classic upper and lower separation, with the underbelly retaining pale fur. By 3 weeks old, kits have their milk teeth and begin eating solid food. They start learning how to make kills at around 8 weeks old. However, mother's milk is still their staple until they are about 12 weeks old. Kits usually start setting off from their parents and birthplace at 12 weeks and reach sexual maturity at 3 to 4 months old. Males, however, are usually unsuccessful at breeding until they are over a year old. The least weasel can live up to 9 years in ideal conditions, but the average is around 7 in the wild. Weasels communicate via body language and vocalizations. Vocalizations include hisses when threatened, shrieks when afraid, high-pitched trellis during courtship, or squeals when in pain. Mothers and kits also communicate through trilling and squeals. When it comes to relations with humans, we can say it's complicated. We've already seen how they can be both a blessing and a curse to human settlements, mainly depending on how and what they hunt. However, the weasel is also an important cultural presence in many parts of the world. It has been revered as a good omen in some cultures, while others have feared it as the opposite. In modern culture, the weasel tends to represent cunning opportunism and the plucky underdog who never knows when he is beaten. Stoats. The stoat is essentially a large species of weasel, known to taxonomists as mustela or mini. The stoat is classified in the same genus as in 90% of animals, whose common name includes the word weasel. The word stoat is believed to have come from the Dutch word stout, which means bold, or the Gothic word stouten, which translates to push. The animal's other name, man, may have come from the French term harman, or it may be a nod to Armenia, where the species is believed to have first emerged. Interestingly, the stoat, or man, may be referred to as a weasel in some parts of its native range. This is the case in Ireland, a place with no common weasels. In North America, many folks refer to the stoat as the short-tailed weasel. The stoat's native range includes Eurasia and the northern parts of North America. However, like several other mustela species, it has been introduced to various parts of the world outside its traditional range. New Zealand is renowned for its mass importation of stoats for the sake of controlling harmful rabbit and rodent populations. Unfortunately, the stoats proved to be too good at killing, as numerous important bird and reptile species were pushed to the brink of extinction as well. Historically, humans have also been big fans of the stoat's lush and luxurious fur. Man fur is among the most valuable in the world, and it has been used to make fine fabrics, cloaks, robes, hats, gloves, and more. It is a traditional status symbol throughout much of Europe and Asia, and countless kings, nobles, and merchants used it to adorn themselves and offered it as a gift of high esteem. To this day, members of the United Kingdom's House of Lords wear ceremonial man robes. Like many Northern Hemisphere weasels, the stoat's fur changes color to a rich white ahead of the winter months. Today, we have 21 subspecies. The dominant subspecies is the northern stoat, or Mustela hermini. Other notable subspecies include the Middle Russian Stoela estiva, the Irish stoon, Mustela hibernica, the Karaganski stoon, Mustela karaginis, and the British Stoela stabalis. There are also a few cool terms for different kinds of stoats. Males, for example, are called jacks or dogs. Females are known as gills, while offspring are called kits. As far as physical appearance, the stoat is generally similar to the least weasel, though it is significantly larger. Its mannerisms, physical proportions, and style of movement are most similar to the least weasels. Stoats range from 6.7 to 12.8 inches in body length, while average weight ranges from 6.3 to 9.1 ounces. This species has significant sexual dimorphism where size is concerned, with jacks being up to 25% bigger than gills. In comparison to the least weasel, the stoat has a relatively longer tail, a relatively longer skull, and a narrower brain case. Its teeth and skull are more pronounced than the least weasels too. Of course, stoats do retain a lot of typical weasel and mustelid traits. They have 5 toes on each foot and non-retractable claws used for digging, climbing, and grasping prey. If you ever come across a stoat, it will be rocking either summer or winter fur. Summer coats are brown to rusty with pale fur on the underbelly. The summer fur is short, sparse, and rough to the touch. Winter fur, in contrast, is more plush and soft, though still fairly short. As a result, winter is usually the prime stowing season for fur trappers. To facilitate this seasonal outfit change, stoats molt twice a year, once in spring to shed the winter coat and once in autumn to change out of the summer coat. Like most musta critters, the stoat is a ferocious predator with a wide menu. Small rodents are its staple, but it will also hunt fish, amphibians, rabbits, birds, insects, and the odd reptile. In the UK, the large British stoat is a prolific rabbit killer. In New Zealand, birds are a primary target, which is a huge problem because rare species like the mohoa and kiwi are being killed at a frightening rate. Stoats themselves have to worry about birds of prey and larger terrestrial predators like foxes and bigger moosids. They're also susceptible to diseases like rabies and tuberculosis. Stoats have much the same territorialism as most other weasel species, with males having bigger domains. Scent markings are the primary boundary markers, and violence is often used to reinforce these boundaries against others. Reproductive behavior and traits are also highly similar to the least weasels. Mating occurs from spring to midsummer, and gills have no help from jacks when it comes to rearing kits.